Okay, so for the next skill, rather than give ratios in their simplest form, what we're going to try and do is divide the ratio so that we've got 1 on one side. Now, that's quite often something that's going to result in decimals, so we're quite likely to see that on the calculator paper. And it's a really, really useful skill because it allows us to compare two things. So let's take a look at the first example. We've got Ribena, which requires 30 millilitres of Ribena for 170 millilitres of water. And we've got Vimto, which requires 50 millilitres of Vimto to 250 millilitres of water. So let's just write that down in ratio form. So Ribena to water, I'm going to put up here. So here's my Ribena, here's my water. So Ribena to water is in the ratio of 30 to 70 to 170, and Vimto to water is in the ratio of 50 to 250. Now what I want to do is, I'm not going to try and put them into their simplest form. I want to know instead what 1 milliliter of the squash, how much water that's going to require. So if I want to know for 1 milliliter of the squash, I'm going to put a 1 on the left hand side. That means for 1 unit of the squash. So I'm dividing here by 30. Anything divided by itself gives me 1. The same thing here. 50 divided by 50 will give me 1. And as long as I do the same to the other side, I should be able to compare which one requires more water, the Ribena or the Vimto. Well, so let's try 170 divided by 30. I'm going to try and do that here. We're going to reach for our calculators to do that because it's going to give me a decimal. So 170 divided by 30 gives me 5.6 recurring. 5.66666. So for every 1 milliliter of Ribena, I need 5.6 recurring milliliters of water. Let's do the same here. 250 divided by 50. Shouldn't need our calculators for that. Tells me that it's 5 milliliters of water. So which of these two is stronger? Well, the stronger one is the one which has less water in it. So that means less water. This has got 5.6 recurring. This has only got 5. So the Vimto is stronger. And it's really useful when we want to compare two ratios to have a 1 on either side, because then we're just comparing two numbers. Okay, let's try the next one. We're going to do the next one as a non-calculator question. A cyclist travels 60 kilometres in 2.5 hours. What is his speed in kilometres per hour? So here we're going to have distance and we're going to have time. And we know he's done 60 kilometres in 2.5 hours. I want to get to 1 hour. Actually, I'm going to do this with a calculator because we can show how it's easiest done on a calculator paper by doing it that way. So I want my time to be 1. The distance travelled in 1 hour, that's your speed. So I'm going to need to divide here by 2.5. Do the same here. 60 divided by 2.5. Do it on your calculator. 60 divided by 2.5 should give you an answer of 24. So the answer is 24 kilometres per hour. Second question, how many minutes to travel 1 kilometre? Well, again, I'm going to set it out as my distance and my time. It's 60 kilometres in. Now, I'm going to change this 2.5 hours into minutes. So 60 minutes in an hour, so 120 minutes in 2 hours, plus 30 is 150 minutes. So 60 kilometres, 150 minutes. Notice this time it wants 1 kilometre, so I'm going to put the 1 on the distance side. I'm dividing it by 60, means I need to divide by 60 here. 150 divided by 60, again we should be reaching for our calculator, is 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Notice these are all different ways of saying the same speed. Travelling 60 kilometres in 2.5 hours, travelling 1 kilometre in 2 minutes 30 seconds, travelling at 24 kilometres an hour. All of those are the same speed, just measuring slightly different things. And in all cases, what we've wanted to do is go down to 1 on one side of the ratio. Okay, pause the video now, write down those worked examples, and then we're going to try and do some questions ourselves. Okay, so here are 8 questions for you. On the first 3, you're trying to make sure that you get left with 1 on the left-hand side. On the second 3, you're trying to make sure you get left with 1 on the right-hand side. And the last one there is an application to speed, distance, and time. Have a go at those questions now, pause the video, and when you're ready, press unpause and we can have a look at the solutions. Okay, so here are our solutions. Remember, for the first lot, we were going to need to divide by the number on the left-hand side, so we're dividing both sides by 5, gives you 1 to 1.6. Dividing both by 4.5 gave you 1 to 3.3 recurring. Dividing both by 0.25 gave you 1 to 12.4. Here we need to put in form n to 1, so we're trying to get a 1 on the right hand side, so divide both by 0.3 gave you 11.6 recurring to 1, 7.25 to 1, and 1.0090 recurring to 1 here. The application question: a car travels 180 kilometres in 3 hours, so 180 in 3 hours. I want to know how far it goes in 1 hour, so I divide by 3, gives me 60 kilometres in 1 hour, 60 kilometres per hour. And here, how long to travel 1 kilometre? Well, I've changed my 3 hours into minutes, so 180 kilometres in 180 minutes. Trying to get down to 1, so dividing by 180 means I need to do the same on the right hand side, gives me 1 kilometre in 1 minute. Very well done. Give yourself a mark out of 8 there, please. If you need any more help on that topic, please look at unitary ratios on Hegarty.